Today we'll be working in my workbook called The 38 Years of Wandering, and it covers numbers 15 through 19, and then a little blurb on and numbers 33, 16 through 36. Why it's called 38 years when we often talk about them traveling 40 years in the wilderness is they had already traveled 2 years before they went to Kadesh Barnea and spied out the land. So they really only have 38 years left of wandering around before they go into the promised land. Looking at the table of contents, we in this book we're going between we're just at a standstill is basically it. So he's adding some more laws and rules and these things. And he's also giving us a little taste of what's happening in their life. So we've already done chapter 1, which is the law of grain and drink offerings. For every offering they give, every burnt offering they give, they've now added grain and drink offerings with it. So it's basically it's like a holy barbecue, and the fact that you burn off this food, and then you have food and you have grain and drink that you've given, and then you're sharing with God. But in every offering, there's a grain and drink offering, and drink meaning wine most of the time. So we did chapter 1. Now we're getting into chapter 2, which is some more laws, and but it still helps clarify some things too. So the laws for intentional and unintentional sins and tassels on garments.
Now, if you as a community unintentionally fail to keep any of these commands the Lord gave Moses, any of the Lord's commands to you through him from the day the Lord gave them and continuing through the generations to come, and if this is done unintentionally without the community being aware of it, then the whole community is to offer a young bull for a burnt offering as an aroma pleasing to the Lord, along with its prescribed grain of offering and drink offering, and a male goat for a sin offering.
This continues with the original sentence God made in Numbers 15:2. After you enter the land I'm giving you as a home. So he's still continuing to give them the laws that will happen once they enter the land. Looking at verse 22, what might unintentionally happen when the Israelites start to settle into their new land?
Fail to keep any of these commands the Lord gave Moses.
Accidentally forgetting is certainly possible. By the time the Israelites will enter the promised land, they would have been given over 613 commandments from the Lord, as recorded in the Torah, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. This total includes the foundational 10 commandments with 248 positive commandments and 365 negative commandments. Aren't you glad you're under the grace of Christ?
Yeah.
We won't have to worry about all these. What is the community to do if they discover the community unintentionally failed to keep a command?
The whole community is to offer a young bull for a burnt offering, along with grain offering, drink offering, and a male goat for a sin offering.
Right.
The priest is to make atonement for the whole Israelite community, and they will be given, for it was not intentional, and they have presented to the Lord for their wrong a food offering and a sin offering. The whole Israelite community and the foreigners residing among them will be forgiven, because all of the people were involved in the unintentional wrong.
Who is going to make the atonement for the whole Israelite community?
The priest.
What two reasons will the whole Israelite community be forgiven by God?
Not intentional, and presented to the Lord for their wrong, a food offering and sin offering.
On the next page, we have the closest example of this happening in the Bible. Let's look to that for the following questions. So let's go ahead and read that first, and that way we can come back to this. An instance in the Bible where the whole community unintentionally sinned. After 70 years in captivity in Babylon, the Israelites were finally starting to return to Jerusalem to rebuild. The first wave of Jews returned under Zerubbabel around 538 BC. The second wave came much later under the leadership of Ezra in 458 BC. After they arrived and did their first sacrifices, then Ezra 9 starts. So we'll read we'll alternate paragraphs.
Okay, after these things had been done, the leaders come to me and said, the people of Israel, including the priests and the Levites, have not kept themselves separate from the neighboring peoples with their detestable practices, like those of the Canaanites, Hittites, Perizzites, Jebusites, Ammonites, Moabites, Egyptians, and Amorites. They have taken some of their daughters as wives for themselves and their sons, and have mingled the holy race with the peoples around them, and the leaders and officials have led the way in this unfaithfulness.
So Ezra 9, 3 from 4. When I, Ezra, heard this, I tore my tunic and cloak, pulled hair from my head and beard, and sat down appalled. Then everyone who trembled at the words of the Lord of Israel, the God of Israel, gathered around me because of this unfaithfulness of the exiles. And I sat there appalled until the evening sacrifice.
Ezra 10, 1 through 4. When Ezra was praying and confessing, weeping, and throwing himself down before the house of God, a large crowd of Israelites, men, women, and children, gathered around him. They too wept bitterly. Then Shekiah, son of I can't pronounce that. Jeha, one of the descendants of Elam, said to Ezra, we have been unfaithful to our God by marrying foreign women from the peoples around us. But in spite of this, there is still hope for Israel. Now let us make a covenant before our God to send away all these women and their children in accordance with the counsel of my Lord and of those who fear the commands of our God. Let it be done according to the law. Rise up. This matter is in your hands. We will support you. So take courage and do it.
Ezra 10, 7, 8. A proclamation was then issued throughout Judea and Jerusalem for all the exiles to assemble in Jerusalem. Anyone who failed to appear within 3 days would forfeit all his property in accordance with the decision of the officials and the elders, and would himself be expelled from the assembly of the exiles.
Ezra 10, 10 through 12 and 16. Then Ezra the priest stood up and said to them, you have been unfaithful. You have married foreign women, adding to Israel's guilt. Now honor the Lord, the God of your ancestors, and do his will. Separate yourselves from the peoples around you and from your foreign wives. The whole assembly responded with a loud voice, you are right. We must do as you say. So the exiles did as was proposed.
Right. So going back now, what's the unintentional sin?
Not keeping community separate from the neighbors.
Who first realized the congregation erred?
Leaders of Israel.
Who was the first to pray to God that they would not be punished?
Ezra.
One of the ways a community can be forgiven for unintentional sin is to stop it happening and to fix it if they can. What did the Israelites do to attempt to fix the situation?
Separate yourself from your foreign wife.
Right. We do, in this example, we don't see the atonement being offered, but this is the closest example we have of it in the Bible.
But if just one person sins unintentionally, that person must bring a year-old female goat for a sin offering. The priest is to make atonement before the Lord for the one who erred by sinning unintentionally, and when atonement has been made, that person will be forgiven. One and the same law applies to everyone who sins unintentionally, whether a native-born Israelite or a foreigner residing among you.
If a person sins unintentionally, can they be forgiven?
Yes.
What is the sin offering they are to bring?
1-year-old female goat.
Does this law apply to both native-born Israelite and also a foreigner in their midst?
Yes.
Some commands that a person may unintentionally forget to do at the time. Ceremonial cleanliness, Leviticus 5, 2 through 3. An individual might unintentionally touch something ceremoniously unclean, such as a carcass of an unclean animal, and not realize it at the time. When they realized their guilt, they were required to make a sin offering. The Sabbath requirement, Exodus 28. Despite it being part of the Ten Commandments, the weekly Sabbath rest was often neglected or overlooked by Israel, either intentionally or through careless forgetting. Witness requirements, Leviticus 5:1. If a person failed to speak up when they heard a public charge to testify regarding something they had seen or learned, they were held guilty even if they didn't realize they were required to testify at the time. And keeping rash vows, Leviticus 5:4. Making a thoughtless or rash vow, a foolish vow, whether for good or bad, and only later realizing it was improper, was considered an unintentional sin that required atonement. One of the reasons why I did this is it's hard for us to visualize unless we have examples of how this could be. And so that's why I gave a number of examples of how unintentional sin can happen. Thankfully, we're under grace, so we don't have to worry about all the little unintentional sins that we may do during the day.
Yeah. But anyone who sins defiantly, whether native born or foreigner, blasphemes the Lord and must be cut off from the people of Israel, because they have despised the Lord's word and broken his command. They must surely be cut off. Their guilt remains on them.
If a person, native born or foreigner, willfully and defiantly sins against the Lord, he is doing what against the Lord?
Blasphemies the Lord.
The act of blasphemy is the act or offense of speaking sacrilegiously about God or sacred things. What must happen to the person who's defiantly sinning?
Cut off from the people of Israel.
Being cut off could be as simple as a removal of the community, exiled, or his house just being stoned for their sin. The premise is to remove the defiant person before they persuade others, and also their punishment is an example to others considering doing the same. Is there an offering or sacrifice that can atone for this sin?
No.
After Christ came, the punishment is similar but not the same. Read Hebrews below. What is similar and what is different? Go ahead and read Hebrews and then tell me the answer.
10:26 through 27. If we deliberately keep on sinning after we have received the knowledge of the the truth, no sacrifice for sins is left, but only a fearful expectation of judgment and a raging fire that will consume the enemies of God. So no difference but death.
Right. Yeah. So similar in the fact that there is a judgment. The only difference is it may not be immediate. You have a chance to change your mind. It
While the
is easy to
Israelites
go ahead. Sorry.
While the Israelites were in the wilderness, a man was found gathering wood on the Sabbath day. Those who found him gathering wood brought him to Moses and Aaron and the whole assembly, and they kept him in custody because it was not clear what should be done to him.
It's easy to hear the rules, but when someone you know is breaking them, it's hard to follow through with the punishment God demands. This is often true in our day as well. When is this situation happening?
The Sabbath day.
Yeah, while they were still in the wilderness on the Sabbath day. Therefore, we're not talking about after they arrive in the promised land. What was the man doing that was sinful?
Gathering wood.
What law below did he break?
Working on Sabbath day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What did they do with the man?
Kept him in custody.
Why did they do what they did?
It was not clear, but should be done what should be done with him.
Right. Did they really not know what to do with the man, or were they not wanting to do what they knew the law required?
That one I couldn't answer.
Yeah.
I didn't have an
Well,
opinion.
I think they know what the law required, but this is someone they know, and it's hard. It's hard to have black and white rules when you feel for the person.
Yeah.
And that's where our society is today. We want grace, but so much in the gray makes it difficult to even make it any definition. So, it's like, yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. Then the Lord said to Moses, the man must die. The whole assembly must stone him outside the camp. So assembly took him outside the camp and stoned him to death, as the Lord commanded Moses. That had to be
Well,
awful.
I know. What was the punishment that the man who worked on the Sabbath was to receive?
Death by stoning.
Does this punishment match what the Lord had told the people in Exodus?
Yes.
Did the congregation follow through?
Yes.
Although they hesitated, the Israelites should be commended for following through with what God asked them to do. Logically, since everyone knew the law about the Sabbath, could this man claim a lack of knowledge of the law?
No.
Therefore, would he fall in the type of people listed in Numbers 15, 30, 31, who are defiant about the law?
Yes.
Why would God insist on a strict adherence to the commands he gave them? Is he just a vengeful God out to make it hard on the people?
No, God means business and we must follow his law.
Right. If the law is set down and the punishment is set down for that law, and a person defies it, if you do not take care of them or given them the punishment, then what is the point of the law?
Right.
And it's although it seems drastic, there's not going to be other people that are going to work on Sabbath after this.
Yeah. But look at us
So,
today. How many of us
yeah.
work on Sabbath? And
Mhm.
like with my son, working all these hours,
Well,
on
yeah, but
weekends.
remember that grace, Christ satisfied that law.
Oh,
So now we don't have Sabbath. We have to keep protected. We have to have a time each week to be with God, but it
yeah.
doesn't have to be on Saturday. And
Right.
so that's a major one. But now, because after a while, everything couldn't shut down on Sunday. So now, as long as you
Yeah.
set aside time for God, then that's fine according to Paul. And so
Yeah.
we needed time to rest. And God said, man was Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath, or something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever. And
Yeah.
but we need time to rest, and so that's why it was set up. But no longer does it have to be on Saturday.
Yeah. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, throughout the generations to come, you are to make tassels on the corners of your garments with a blue cord on each tassel." Amazing.
Yeah. So this is interesting. I get to learn about all these little things on the shawls, on the prayer shawls. It's kind of cool. Does this command happen now when they're in the wilderness, or after they enter the promised land, or both?
Right now.
Is this command for all generations?
Yes.
Looking at of the prayer shawl, which is the next page, how many corners of the prayer shawl are they attached to?
4.
Why are the tassels there?
God's commandments, his laws,
Right. What does the blue thread signify?
royalty in heaven.
At first glance, it seems like a strange location for this information to be given. But based on Numbers 15, 22 to 29, why would God tell Moses about this command now?
To remember God's law.
Right. There were 613 of them. These
I
tassels
know.
on the prayer shawl still are in use today. And of course, we have this whole thing about the prayer shawl. Tzitzit are the knotted fringe tassels attached to the four corners of the Jewish prayer shawls and the four cornered garments. Okay, mandated by the Torah, they serve as a visual reminder to observe God's commandments and keep them in mind. They represent holiness, authority, and the 613 commandments. Each tassel generally consists of 8 threads, and then the 5 knots and 8 strings total 13, which combined with the numeric value of tzitzit equals 613. The blue thread, at least one of the strings is dyed with blue, a blue color historically sourced for a ring creature symbolizing royalty in heaven. Tzitzit, the fringes on the prayer serve as a constant visual reminder of God's laws. And they were worn during morning prayers and on a small undershirt garment worn by Orthodox men throughout the day. Tzitzit offered a tangible connection to Jewish law and spirituality, bringing the sacred into daily life. These are used today.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I would like to have a jacket like that.
Yeah, yeah. It's a
But that's
Jewish.
an
It's a
interesting word. Zit.
yeah.
Where they come
Tzitzit.
up with.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a Jewish word, a Hebrew word. Tzitzit.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
I never knew that. Never
Yeah.
knew that. Okay. Yeah, see, that is so pretty. You will have these tassels to look at, and so you will remember all the commands of the Lord, that you may obey them and not prostitute yourselves by chasing after the lust of your own hearts and eyes. Then you will remember to obey all my commands and will be consecrated to your God. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord your God.
Do we have clothing today to remind us about God and perhaps prevent us from sinning? If so, what is it and how does it prevent us?
Oh, yeah, that's why we have the cross, which I still want to get. I don't have a cross. I'd like to have one. And
Yeah,
t-shirts. I have a lot of t-shirts too,
right.
from Christian stores, and bracelets, you
Yeah.
know.
WWJD were pretty popular at one time. What would Jesus do?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do have some things, and of course we put things on our walls to remind
Oh,
us,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's
yeah. That's right. I do have a cross of Jesus on the cross in my patio. That's right. I
right.
forgot about
And
that.
that's similar to what the Jews did. They would put scriptures on the walls. And so that, I mean, it's amazing if you think about it as you go through the Bible, how many things we've kept in our
And
various lives.
in my kitchen, I have a picture of the Ten Commandments. I mean, the Last Supper.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so these things are to remind us.
Yeah.
I think I overdid it with this crossword. No big. But anyway, okay. Thank goodness you do these ahead of time.
Yeah.
Okay, what is the special color that should be included in the tassels? Number 3.
Blue. Blue.
Number 4, what day of the week was the man gathering wood?
Sabbath.
Number 6, if the community sins unintentionally with their food offering, they are to be give both a grain and
Drink.
offering. 7, in Ezra, the people of Israel had not separated themselves from the neighboring.
People.
Number 11, anyone residing with the Israelites that was not of the 12 tribes.
Foreigners.
Yeah. 13, the Jewish word for the special prayer tassel.
Tis it.
Yeah. 14, the man who collected wood on the Sabbath day was
Stoned.
to death. 15, the situation that comes close to being an example of a community unintentionally sinning is in the book of.
Ezra.
Okay, one down. The Israelites put the man who was gathering wood in
Custody.
until they knew what to do with him. 2, if one person sins unintentionally, they are to bring a year-old
Female.
goat for a sin offering. 5, this word means an act or offense of speaking sacrilegiously about God or sacred things.
Blasphemy.
8, since the community sinned unintentionally and they made an atonement for their wrong, they will be.
Forgiven.
9, who gives the atonement for this community?
Priest.
10, if the community sins unintentionally, they are to offer both a young bull and a male.
Goat.
12, being cut off means anything from being removed from the community
Exiled.
or being stoned to death. So,
Yeah.
anyway, as soon as I get this turned off here, get